Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we take a look at the energy of the moon sign. We all have multiple energies in our natal astrology chart, and the moon has special significance. So in this podcast episode, I'm going to talk about the energy of the moon overall, as well as go through what the reigning need is of each moon sign through all 12 astrological signs. Most of us come to astrology with an understanding or a knowingness of our sun sign, which is your solar energy. It is the sense of self that's being developed in this lifetime. The sun sign is usually how you first understand who you are, what you're about, your skills, your talents, your abilities. But then as you progress in your understanding of astrology, you meet your moon sign, your lunar energy force. Luna is the part of you that is private, internal, what others don't see, but is part of how you move through your daily life. It is your emotional world, your inner understanding of who you are, and ultimately it's your needs. This is where you have deeper needs that make you feel secure, loved, understood, appreciated. The moon sign is our receptive ability, how we can receive others, how we respond to others, and also the energy that gives us comfort. The moon sign is where you return home to yourself and understand more of who you are and what you need on a daily basis. So it's vital to understand your moon sign because this is also the energy that other people are going to meet and get to know in you through relationships. Successful relationships are really about getting to know each other's moon signs. Yes, there are other energies in a chart that matter, but again, your moon sign is your energy on a daily basis. So when you live with someone, when you interact with them, when you're sharing yourself, when you're getting to know who they are, they're also doing the same with you based on your moon sign. And this is a very important part of ourselves to really dive into and understand. It has the capacity to set you up for more successful relationships, for deeper emotional bonds and emotional satisfaction, and for harmony, synchronicity, just an understanding of how you move about your life, how you move about every day. The moon sign also relates to the energy of your mother, whether it is your biological mother or someone who was a mother figure in your life. It is the part of the chart that describes what her emotional experience was of you when you arrived, when you came through her body and you were birthed. The moon sign is a demonstration of the energy at that exact moment of time. That's also why in astrology we need exact birth times for an accurate chart. Because the moon changes signs so frequently every 2.5 to 3 days, it moves through each day rather quickly. And so when you have the exact birth time, we can know more specifics about your arrival onto this planet, your mother's experience of your arrival, and actually what that imprinted in you. The emotional imprint that you arrived with speaks through your moon sign. And it's not simply your moon sign, it is the house location of the moon. And a few weeks ago, I did a show for you about the 12 astrological houses. So once you understand your moon sign, then you can listen to that show and listen to the house that your moon is located in. And this is the environment where your feelings really come alive. These two components of your moon sign and whatever house your moon is in are going to put together some vital pieces for you about who you are, your experiences of yourself, and more of what you need in your life. I also have found that the moon sign and the house placement of the moon can strongly correlate to your love language, which is the book by Gary Chapman called The 5 Love Languages. And it's basically what you need to feel loved, how you receive others, how you receive other people into your inner world, how you feel safe. The moon needs to feel safe, how you trust what you feel, how you express what you feel. All these dynamics that make up a very rich inner world strongly relate to the moon sign. And when you can take that understanding and pair it with the 5 love languages, you may receive some more insights into how to have successful friendships, family relationships, partnerships, etc. We typically think of the sun as the masculine energies and the moon as the feminine energies. Now, this can be reversed in a chart, where you can have your sun sign in a feminine astrological sign, and you could have your moon sign in a masculine astrology sign. But the understanding here is how these two parts of yourself ultimately work together, how they have a harmony that you can work with or create. And this is where astrology becomes very specific, because you could have been born with any type of combination between the sun and the moon. And the more that you know this in yourself and you understand this in yourself, again, the more you're going to understand what your needs are and more of who you are in this lifetime. I also think this is one of the ways that astrology can be self-validating, where you learn about your moon sign and your sun sign and other parts of your chart as well, and only you can verify what it means for you, what has shown up in your journey, in your world, how you have behaved, what your intentions have been, what has come out of you. There's a lot here that's very personal because there's so many different ways the energies can be expressed. And that's why the moon sign is vital, because again, it's something that you really know, that only you know, and that you're meant to see in yourself to really go into more of your own emotional imprint. So I'm going to journey through all 12 astrological signs and what they mean when your moon is in that sign. And I hope this helps you understand more of who you are. Of course, this is just a brief overview, and there are various books on moon signs that you should certainly check out if you're interested, and especially if the moon is prominent for you in your chart, meaning it is strong in your energy field. It is very alive. It's receiving a lot of aspects. It's very powerful in its needs to express. So the moon in Aries. The moon in Aries is very dynamic. Aries is a fire sign and it likes to go first. And so this can be a moon that is very active on a daily basis, very inspired, ready to go. And it can be unconsciously desiring to be the best, to be number one. This is a competitive moon. This is a moon where you could have very strong reactions. You could flare up in anger. You could also be limited in only understanding something from your own perspective. The moon in Aries needs a way to move energy every day, whether that's through exercise or something physical, because that Aries energy is motivated. It's ready to go. It has a lot of energy. And the moon sign tends to want to do something daily. So the moon in Aries is looking for a way to be inspired and motivated to lead. You do have to watch out for being too self-centered, for not hearing or understanding other people and what they need. The moon in Aries can be very self-focused and only be thinking about itself. So this is where you want to be aware of that in yourself and stay open to what others may want and what others may need. And all of these qualities can relate to the mother or the mother-maternal relationship, where your mother is very dynamic. She's a leader. She was first to do something in the family, first to do something in her life, perhaps very independent. So all of these qualities can describe not only you, but can relate to your experience of your mother. Ultimately, that moon in Aries needs a way to improve itself on a daily basis and to not turn that energy towards others so that it's not combative or competitive unnecessarily. The moon in Taurus is very grounded and is looking for security. It's looking for what it can count on a daily basis. This moon sign may really enjoy daily routines, daily comforts, a set pattern and way of going about their day that they can organize and appreciate what they have. The moon in Taurus is typically concerned with how to feel calm, how to be surrounded by beauty, how to have a peaceful experience. This is an energy too of self-reliance, perhaps needing your own time, your own space, needing to do something your own way every day. The moon in Taurus will look at financial matters seriously. It wants to know how much money's in the bank, what am I investing in, where are things at, because all of this relates to that sense of security. But ultimately, the moon in Taurus is moving away from any type of materialism or possessiveness and moving into an inner security. The sense that no matter what happens in life, I have the resources I need to handle it. And I know that I'm worth this. I know that I have everything I need within me. And there is a maturity that happens with the moon in Taurus, where you understand what supports you naturally and that you don't have to resist the changes of life. Again, this energy can relate to your mother. It can relate to the experiences you had of your mother when you were younger. And it can certainly relate to some generational patterns in your family as well. The moon in Gemini is very curious. A talkative expression is needed. This is actually the energy of an active mind on a daily basis. The moon in Gemini wants to learn, wants to understand, wants information. This can be a very busy moon, very much about let's go do this, let's get out into the world. I need something to think about, to focus on, to talk about. So it's a very active, dynamic energy. Because Gemini is an air sign, being able to communicate how you feel and communicate your thoughts regularly is vital. And that may feel easier when you're around somebody, but it's also a good exercise to just get that energy out, whether it's through a diary, a journal, speaking to yourself, doing anything expressive to move the thoughts. Because if the energy doesn't move, that moon in Gemini can really spin in anxiety, too much going on, too much stimuli, a nervousness. There can be a nervousness when that energy is not released. So the moon in Gemini does need energy to move. It is a fast-moving energy, and the moon in Gemini is very smart. It understands things quickly. It's a fast learner, and it wants to keep taking in specifics, details, information to keep learning. So there's a need for mental stimulation as well as expression. The moon in Gemini may be incredibly social, may want to interact regularly with peers, schoolmates, classmates, siblings, people you see on a daily basis. There can be a natural affinity to connect with people, a lot of social media energy too around the moon in Gemini. You'll want to be aware of how you're spending your energy every day, if it's useful or if it's just draining you. Because the energy can move fast and it wants to be seeking and understanding, there can be a lot of wasted time too, because you're just following every breadcrumb or going down these rabbit holes without understanding what's really worth your time. And also to get into your heart more, to move the energy from your head into your heart, you may need to talk and express and read how you feel. Speak how you feel. Make sure that you're allowing that movement to occur, because simply hearing yourself or reading what you feel is going to help you tune in to energies and messages that the mind might have a hard time getting to at first. So you really want to work on that dynamic between the head and the heart. The moon in Cancer is a very open energy. This is where you want to connect. You want to feel people. You want to feel into yourself every day to understand who you are and what you're experiencing right now. Because Cancer is a water sign, the moods change, the feelings shift, things come in and they come out, and you can feel different on a daily basis. There can be something about your inner world where emotions are moving through you quietly, softly, and other people aren't aware of it. The moon in Cancer tends to have a deep internal experience, and it's looking for emotional safety, emotional security, a sense of this is where I belong. And the moon in Cancer relates to family, your home environment, what you need to feel quiet and private at times, because that energy wants to retract. It's where you maybe need time to process through a feeling before you express it or before you share it. The moon in Cancer has been trained from a young age to pick up on the energies in an environment, to sense what's going on or to sense what's happening around them. This could have been a survival mechanism when you were younger. There could have been something in your family that required you to really internalize some experiences and some feelings. So as you mature, that moon in Cancer is being asked to not be defensive, to not feel too vulnerable, but to stay open to the flows of life and the flows of your feelings as they come through for you. You're being asked to take responsibility for how you feel, to know that you are in charge of it. You're the one who can support yourself and essentially mother yourself. And so this could be one of your strong emotional imprints, is that you're here to mother yourself in your lifetime to hear what your feelings are, to hear what your needs are, and to give those to yourself without blaming or expecting anyone else to provide them for you. The moon in Cancer wants a nest, wants a place to nest into their feelings, into their inner world. And this is where you might even have a hard time expressing how you feel to others. So part of your maturing in this lifetime is to feel strong in how you feel and to share it with people, to not keep it too internal or hidden, and to know that people who love you, support you, cherish you, want to know how you feel. The moon in Leo is very strong and expressive. This is the energy of creativity, self-expression, needing to be seen, wanting to feel appreciated and respected. This is a very strong placement for the moon. It is stable, it can be stubborn, it has a need to do what it wants and to be inspired. Leo is a fire sign. There is energy here, there is motivation, there is desire, there is a need to do something that feels good and that you can also be in charge of. A Leo is a leadership energy, and so there's a desire here to do what you want your own way, and it can even be that you resist other people's input. There's a sense of, I am the commander of this part of my life, or I know exactly what I want here. That moon in Leo can also have a very loving heart, and it wants to give and receive love. That's very important. When the Leo energy has matured, that it's not simply about what I receive from other people, meaning recognition or compliments or just acknowledgement. This is where that moon in Leo has a very strong, well-developed, courageous heart and wants others to feel love, wants others to feel good. The moon in Leo can be very proud and have a lot of pride, perhaps excessively. And the moon in Leo could have learned how to wear masks when you were younger. The masks you wear to feel loved, the masks you wear to get attention, what you learned about how to receive love early on in childhood could be something that comes up to you as you mature, because you understand that moon in Leo was performing. And so you want to go deeper into what you truly need to feel validated, to feel respected, and to feel acknowledged. The moon in Leo can also relate to your mother and having a strong mother in your life, whether her personality is exemplified by the Leo energies or that's how you experienced her, was that she was very much perhaps the leader of the family, or she was in charge, she was creative, she embraced what it was that you needed when you were younger. Perhaps she was the first person who really saw you, or who encouraged you to be expressive, to be creative, to understand your talents. Conversely, this moon in Leo could have experienced the opposite, where you did not receive attention or validation that you needed in your family or from your mother, and that set up another way to get your needs met, other things you would do for attention or to feel acknowledged. So you want to look at this for yourself to see how that moon in Leo was expressed in healthy ways, or perhaps showed up as the masks you realized you needed to wear to feel loved. The moon in Virgo has a driving need to organize, manage, improve, and correct anything in its environment that it doesn't need. This is the energy of refinement, being able to cut something out, understand what is needed, what is not needed, and to organize what is in one's environment. And this also includes your internal experience. It could be that you really want to hone in on the exact issue. You're looking for what needs to be improved, what can be healed, what can be changed around into something useful. The moon in Virgo tends to see its daily world through a practical lens. What is essential? What is supportive? And what do I need in order to feel healthy, to feel strong, to feel like I am improving what's around me? Sometimes this energy can be too focused on what's wrong. It can be really in its own head about what needs to be improved, if something is good enough, if it's exact enough, if there is enough knowledge or understanding of what can be done. This is an earth sign that wants to approach life through the results that come in. What can be sustained? What is necessary? What can I do on a daily basis to take care of myself And how am I going to show up on a daily basis to honor those needs? The moon in Virgo is about self-care, healing, understanding the body, working with the body's energy needs, and listening to what messages are coming through. It's important to have that connection to yourself and to be aware of your daily routines. Your daily routines could be something that ground you, that give you a sense of order, and that support your energy on a daily basis. This moon sign does need to be aware of being too critical or too exact, of expecting perfection or expecting precision when we can be messy, when things can unfold in multiple ways, and that it doesn't always have to look a certain way to be useful. However, you maybe absorbed some of these messages from your mother, where your mother could exemplify these moon and Virgo qualities in your experience with her, and you could have felt that you needed to be a certain way in order to be loved. And this would have been your first emotional imprint from your mother, who maybe had exact expectations of you. The moon in Virgo does need to find joy in its daily life, needs to have something that is satisfying that you do every day, whether that is small and orderly or the work you do in the world, what you offer, what you can improve, what you can do for others that really brings about that feeling of satisfaction and usefulness. The moon in Virgo is very smart. It has the ability to be very insightful and to see things in a new way and to get to the heart of what is needed. So make sure and use those strengths for yourself. Get to the heart of what you need on a daily basis to feel healthy, to feel of service, to feel empowered, and to know that you can use your mind and body together to feel supported energetically every day. The moon in Libra has the driving need to relate to other people, to cooperate and to share, and to talk about how it feels. The moon in every air sign is about what we say, what we communicate, and how we can then understand ourselves and what we need through those thoughts. So the moon in Libra could have greater clarity about what it's feeling by talking it out, by discussing thoughts and feelings with someone else. And this could be very unconscious, where you're not even aware of what you're saying, and then it reminds you of what you need, what your impressions have been, and what you're feeling. The moon in Libra can be a people pleaser. It can be unaware of what it does to tend to other people's needs in order to sustain a relationship or to have a discussion. This is often a very balanced moon sign where it doesn't waver too much on the emotional spectrum. It wants time to be able to process thoughts, to process what's coming through, and then it can have a very clear understanding of what it needs once it's able to express how you're feeling. However, this moon sign can be too much in its own head and not drop down into the heart to really feel what's going on underneath the mind's activities. So with every air sign, you want to get out of the thoughts and go into listening, go into a receptive mode. And this could be a little bit trickier at first because it's taking you out of that comfort zone, but it's asking you to really hear more of what's in your heart and perhaps what you need. The moon in Libra could have a hard time putting itself first. It could be so aware of other people, of what's going on in its environment, of what to say that sounds right or that gets people's respect. There can be an unconscious drive here to be appreciated or to feel good from other people by doing or saying what you think other people want to hear or what you should do to preserve the conversation, the relationship, the friendship, the connection. So the moon in Libra is gifted with understanding others, having conversations about feelings, being aware of the importance of speaking and sharing. However, this moon sign also needs time alone to come back to itself and to hear what's really going on for you, and knowing that you are ultimately in charge of your own needs and that you don't want to project that onto others. Libra can unconsciously project what it wants onto other people, expecting them to fulfill those needs. Libra can also be unconsciously comparing. It is the energy of comparison where you can say, oh, this person has that, I want this. It can be a back and forth internal conversation that you're not aware of, and it can take you away from what you need and what is essential for you. So be aware of any of those messages around comparison, and keep in mind that this could be an emotional imprint that you've been dealing with since childhood. This could be something that your mother was demonstrating for you, or that she always made you aware of other people. What will they say? What will they think? Etc. And essentially it could have taken your energy out of your own aura. So call it back. Know that that moon in Libra is beautiful at sharing with people and establishing relationships, but make sure you're also finding what you need in your relationship with yourself. The moon in Scorpio tends to have a very intense emotional desire, and you feel things powerfully. In fact, you often feel them at a deeper level than most people. People aren't even aware of all the emotional intensity that you pick up on, that you're processing, and that you're working with. And yet this is something that you are here to master, that you're here to really understand the power of your inner world and what comes up for you to dig into and to understand. The moon in Scorpio can be excellent as a counselor, a therapist, a healing guide who helps go into what messages are really being triggered within. The moon in Scorpio is about understanding the wisdom of deeper powers and what those messages are telling you about your own inner workings. You can also be very attuned to other people's feelings. This can feel like you're deeply intuitive or psychic or just aware of what's happening in an environment or what other people are experiencing because you're often tuned in at these deep levels. Again, you see, feel, and sense things that not everyone picks up on. The moon in Scorpio does need to have some type of cleansing strategy, meaning there's a way that you move emotions through you and you don't get locked in to something, because this is where you can have obsessions, you can have emotional obsessions, emotional addictions. This is where you can really be stuck in a feeling and not know what to do with it. But the journey of Scorpio energy is always about transformation, how you take ownership of how you feel and you don't simply attribute it to other people. Scorpio is where we can unconsciously be holding energies for others. It's where we can have a sense of what others might feel and sense and then think that you have power over them. And it's important to remember that all the power is within, and to look at how these emotional power dynamics influenced you when you were younger. How did that leave an emotional imprint on you, either through your mother or your family or just your early childhood experiences? The moon in Scorpio can be stuck unconsciously in some of these dynamics, and then you might find that it's through your own healing journey and spiritual experiences that these truths are revealed to you, and you can then powerfully work with them to free yourself, to remove any energy that you've been holding that's not yours, that you absorbed from your environment, that you absorbed from other people. It's really important for the moon in Scorpio to have a way to move energy and to think of it as that Kundalini rising, to rise out of those deeper, darker places and to look at your own mastery, to look at how you are capable of really transforming into a higher state of emotional expression. And as you do this work, this deep inner work, you can start to feel untangled from things that used to have a hold on you. And this is part of your growth where you do detach. You learn how to balance this powerful emotional world with other parts of your energy. So for example, you learn to balance with a sense of detachment and a sense of objectivity so that you're not pulled into something that can feel overwhelming or too intense. The Scorpio energy is here to basically be an emotional alchemizer. You use alchemy to take one thing and transform it into another. Next on our journey is the moon in Sagittarius. And this is a very positive, upbeat moon. This is a very energized and adventurous energy that shows up every day. Every day is an adventure. What can I do today? Where can I go? What can I learn? What can I understand? This is a fire sign that wants to explore and experience the world around it. The moon in Sagittarius can also feel things in a very deep way, but it's often exaggerated or in a bigger way. You feel things right away, you're ready to go, you're energized, and then the energy changes and shifts, and perhaps you have moved on to the next experience. The moon in Sagittarius can have a restlessness to it. It maybe wants to have a sense of independence, to be able to do what you want every day, and to have someone that shares the adventure with you in terms of relationships and in terms of friendships. The moon in Sag is often wanting to have interesting, higher conversations to understand and learn more about who you are and what you're experiencing in this lifetime as a form of your soul's growth. This moon sign tends to experience roller coasters as well in the emotional world, where you can be up and then go down and down. There can be an exaggeration of feelings. There can be a sense of overwhelm, or that things feel really big and then they feel really empty. So what you want to do is find that medium. Find a way to internally stabilize the roller coaster or the ride that you're on, so that you remember that you're in control of it ultimately, and you can find the gifts in the highs and the lows. Now, the moon in Sagittarius can have accumulated a lot of information and be very aware of one's opinions and have a sense of what guides you in your life. These are my opinions. This is what I believe. This is what's correct for me. But keep in mind that is only for yourself, and to look at how any energies of righteousness or being a know-it-all or having all the answers could be unconsciously working with you that other people sense and pick up. Ultimately, this moon in Sag is very inspired and wants to keep learning, but needs to stay open to differences, open to ways of moving through life that are going to be different than what you were taught. The moon in Sag could also have an early experience in childhood of religion, opinions, belief systems, and spirituality. You could have grown up in an environment where you were told what to believe and there was no other option. And this would have ingrained in you an understanding of right and wrong and the power of belief systems as well as the power of opinions. And so through your life, this is part of what you're maturing. You're on an exploration to look at, well, what does support me spiritually? What do I believe in? What is true for me, even if it's different than what my family, my ancestors, or my community told me to believe? So the moon in Sag often has a journey around what fits for them spiritually, and often a stepping away from those family dynamics that no longer resonate, and that ultimately you're here to expand them. You're here to offer more to your soul group or to your family. The moon in Capricorn is a very stable, secure daily energy. This is an earth sign that wants to make things happen. It can be very industrious and very focused on your daily duties and responsibilities. The moon in Capricorn is often ambitious, and it has many things it wants to work on, manage, or create that drive you every day. The moon in Capricorn also has a strong sense of responsibility. And when you were born, you could have even felt that you were mature. You came in with a maturity beyond your age. You had a sense of duty or responsibility. You understood more about what needed to be taken care of in the family. And so often I find that the moon in Capricorn individuals could have felt like an adult. Even when they were a child, you could have been an adult to one of your parents, or you could have been the one with more responsibility, or just you took on that in the family. The moon in Capricorn is very focused on creating a life that's stable, that is respected. And this is important. You could say it's important to every moon sign is to be respected, but that moon in Capricorn really wants to be taken seriously and approaches life from a sense of what can I do today that matters. You may have even felt when you were younger that you had a sense of your purpose in the world, whether you were a young entrepreneur at 11 or you started business at a young age. There was a sense of who am I in the world and what am I doing every day to achieve these goals. Now, the moon in Capricorn can be very, very hard on themselves, and they can also be detached from what makes them truly happy. So the moon in Capricorn really needs to remember the joy in life and that it's not all about work or obligations or taking care of everything, that it's okay to focus on this responsibility to yourself, to your heart, and to your needs. The moon in Capricorn also can be detached from other people's emotional experiences because you don't have that same emotional lens. You don't always understand why someone would feel a certain way or what's coming up for them. So it's important to make sure that your heart is energetically open, that it's open to what you really feel. And this could show up in other areas of your natal astrology chart, but it could have been that you were not given an emotional experience that was nurturing when you were younger, and you learned that it wasn't okay to be that way. You had to just keep a straight face and tend to your chores. So you want to look back on some of your own emotional programming and any emotional needs that perhaps you didn't understand, you didn't hear, or you didn't acknowledge in yourself, but that are coming up for you now. Because we all have an emotional spectrum. We all have parts of ourselves that need to feel loved, to feel heard, to feel understood. And that moon in Capricorn can shut down those parts of itself. And then once you open them up and you tune into them, you also open up to more of your strength. The moon in Aquarius is very creative and dynamic. This is the energy of wanting to do something different, wanting to make a difference, maybe wanting to be ahead of the curve. Perhaps you want to be the one who has a very unique style of dress. You want to be an individual. There's something expressive about that moon in Aquarius that really wants to be yourself, to do self-acceptance exercises, to be aware of how you are an individual and to not feel like you have to blend in with the crowd or that you have to belong to something bigger than yourself. Although many moon in Aquarius individuals tend to find their tribe outside of their immediate family. And that first sense of a tribe would be a group of friends or perhaps one good best friend, someone who really sees you. And this is a prerequisite for the moon in Aquarius as it matures, in that you want to be with individuals who are strong in who they are, just as you are strong in who you are. And you can have some very expressive, accepting conversations and discussions about what you feel and sense in yourself and in the world. The moon in Aquarius can be perceived as misunderstood or quirky at first, but often it's simply because you have a unique process. You have a different way of moving through things. You need your space, you need your independence, you need your ability to do things your own way. And so as an air sign, you need to have a thought process, perhaps a communication style, or a way to move things through your brain that gets it out of your mind. And just like the other air signs, you can really hear what you feel and hear yourself think when you express it. So there's something about the exercise of talking, speaking, writing, doing anything that gets your mind. It's like it releases the pressure of the mind and you can start to open up to more of what you need and who you are. This moon in Aquarius could have had a very unusual childhood. There could have been something different about your mother, about your family, about your immediate environment that felt like you were ostracized or set apart from the collective. And it could be that there's something in you that got stronger because of that type of an upbringing. The moon in Aquarius is here to be contributing to the future. It is very much about where are we going? Where am I going? What inspires me every day? What is my vision of my life? And when you tap into that, you can be very clear in what you are developing and what you're creating in your immediate daily surroundings. And the moon in Pisces is the energy of the emotional world coming through in various senses. The moon in Pisces is very much about allowing yourself to feel and flow with what comes through and to stay detached, to not fall into feeling overly sensitive or taking things too personally. Yet that Pisces energy is very much tuned in to the energies of the environment, but also of the world. And this is where you can be unconsciously picking up a lot that isn't yours, that can weigh you down, that can feel heavy. And the moon in Pisces is actually looking for how to hone in on its intuitive mastery and how you can trust what you feel, how you can pick up on an understanding and allow that to be enough for you. It doesn't have to be processed or accepted through your mind. It's just how you feel. And these can be very big messages at times, and it actually opens you up to your creative world, how you express yourself artistically, how you allow yourself to spiritually grow and develop, and how you understand that all of this is part of your power. The moon in Pisces is very private and it needs alone time. It wants to be by itself. There can be melancholy. There can be feelings of disconnection and powerlessness at times. And this is just part of the emotional experience that runs through you. And as long as you don't overly identify with it, it can support you. It can help you as just part of the flows that you're picking up and part of how you run energy. The moon in Pisces can have a very intuitive experience with its family. It could have been that you saw things or sensed things when you were younger. It could have been that one of your family members even felt disappearing to you, that Pisces energy showed up as someone who wasn't there for you emotionally, someone who was not available, someone who you were disconnected from, and it probably triggered a sense of discouragement or a feeling of victimhood that started early on. And yet this was all an illusion. This was about bringing you back to spirit. So the moon in Pisces is here to connect to spiritual guidance, to go higher in your self-understanding, to practice compassion, to practice forgiveness, and to see that these might be big themes in your life, especially with your family members. As you mature, you then see the gifts of your intuitive messages. You learn to trust yourself. You understand what's coming through, and you have these gifts that you're able to work with every day. So that is an overview of all 12 astrological signs in each of the moon sign combinations. And please know that this is energy that is fluid, that's always working with you, and it's something that's going to be even stronger for you when the transiting moon is conjunct with your natal moon. So if your natal moon is in Gemini, every month, every 28 days or so, the transiting moon is in Gemini. It's conjunct your natal moon, and it's helping you tune in to these lunar energies that you carry. And I think that transiting moon comes around and brings a message to your natal moon. It checks in on your internal world. It asks you how you are doing, how you're caring for yourself, how you're feeling. And it can also be energizing. It can be that sense of you have a lot of energy when the transiting moon is in the same sign as your natal moon. So I hope this podcast episode resonated with you and brought you some deeper understandings into more of who you are, your emotional world, your feelings, your needs, and how you relate to other people, as well as the significance of your first emotional imprint when you entered your body and you became a human as you traveled through the experience of your mother's energy. So thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. I'll be back every Wednesday and Monday for a new episode. In the meantime, you can find out more at mollymccord.online. That's where I offer my current astrology programs and classes, as well as business development programs for those of you who are here to really follow your soul work in the world. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you back here soon.